welcome to the Mariah Jean Fit YouTube channel. I'm Coach Mariah. Make sure you like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos as much as possible so we can reach a broader audience. We appreciate your support and enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to the Fit Minds podcast with Coach Mariah here and Jason Woodforth from the ICN Queensland Federation. He is the president and the vice president?
Australian vice president, yes.
Australian vice president of that federation. And obviously I've known Jason for almost 4 years now, I think, since 2019. So we go way back to my first show, and obviously since I started prepping competitors myself after my first show. Oh, there goes the dog.
We did have 3. No, just the 2.
So, first off, I'm going to start off with some questions that come from me because I have wanted to pick your brain for quite a while. And when the opportunity came up from ICN mentioning who would like to interview Jason on a podcast for representing ICN Queensland, I was very quick to jump on that because you're an interesting man.
Well, been around for a while doing this.
Yes.
This is year number 17.
And also too, I think you're well known around Australia as well for what you do, and certainly your posing classes, I think, is what you're notorious for, is that interaction that you have with competitors before they even compete. So yeah, wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and actually just on that, it makes the day when I present that overall trophy, sometimes I know them already. And the funniest moment actually I've had was Siobhan, season 8 last year. She went from the Sunshine Coast where she got a 5th. She went away and did some hard work and went, what do I need to do? The judges gave the feedback, came back and just won it, and was so excited. As I normally give you a kiss, a cuddle with it, whatever it is, she's leaned forward and then sort of leaned backwards. I'm like, what's going on? She goes, can I give you a hug? I said, can you give me a hug? Yeah. And like, it means so much to them. Especially her journey in particular, as short as it was, but that 2 weeks and just that turnaround, it just meant so much to her. And it means so much to all of you.
Yeah, it's a very intense and emotional time, and I think certainly having that close interaction with people before they step on stage, and then when they are on stage, it probably means a lot to you as well.
Yeah, 100%. And so just on that note, because Ange, the wife, said to me, what happened there with Siobhan? And I told her that. She goes, oh, really? And, yeah, it just meant so much to her. And I love giving out those trophies and awards. And again, I digress because I haven't even started. But doing the swords for the fitness and sports, the two that got it were just beside themselves. It was Veronica and Mon. They were like, I got a sword!
Yeah. Oh my God! Because the swords are another part of it. Like, how many people who are listening to this who want to compete or have competed are chasing a sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sword that I received, I had no idea I was going to receive it, and when I did, I didn't think it was actually mine. And I tried to give it back to you. I remember just very briefly going, what's this? And you whispered to me, that's yours.
I do. That's right, yes.
Yeah, Jason was like, this is yours. I was like, what?
Take it.
Most people would be like, I've been dreaming of this sword. So some people are oblivious to it, and some people, it's on their bucket list to get an ICN sword. So let's dive into the questions. First off, I'm going to start with asking very briefly, just mention how ICN Queensland began, give us a bit of a background and how it became the federation it is today.
Yeah, okay, well, it started back in 1991. I think we're year 32 now, by Wayne McDonald and a co-founder in the United States. Obviously it was INBA back in the day. And then 6 years ago, 2017, so basically about 6 years ago, we branched off. There were some things that weren't good for the competitor, and we want to go this way, so we branched off. And from that branch off, we actually have become the largest natty federation in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the great things with ICN is that you can go from grassroots all the way through to world titles with the same brand, the same federation. And there are some other federations out there like that, but there are some others where you've got to sort of hop across,
yeah. Because they don't go to an international level, whereas ICN does.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So next question, what sets ICN apart from other federations? Because I think certainly when we're thinking about first-time competitors, I get asked this question a lot. What's the difference? What does ICN stand for? And maybe specifically ICN Queensland as well, because obviously you could speak from that perspective quite closely. Yeah.
Well, I think worldwide, ICN is a community building federation. where like all the presidents are just great people who really look after the competitors. I mean, I look at Diesel in South Korea. Amazing what that man does. If you want to go to an international event, go to Korea. He is just amazing. Jay Achara, whilst he's from here running India, doing just an amazing job in India, building that community over there. Actually, the work Jay does to build that community over there is just non-stop. And it just shows, because his last show near on had 400 competitors.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, massive show. So yeah, hats off to Jay. The work he's doing is just amazing over there. And the same with Brenda in New Zealand. You know, Tony in Victoria. It doesn't matter where I pick. We're all trying to build a community, and we love what we do. You know, it's our passion.
It's a team effort, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then look, I'd like to think, as Sky about Queensland shows, I think we run the best. You know, like we just do it like, number one, we're on time. Yeah. I always like that.
That last show was really good. Like it was, I have to admit, your last show was like on the minute.
Yeah, we smoked it. Yeah. And I pay attention, because I don't want you girls and guys to be going, we're 2 hours late, 3 hours late, which has been happening of recent times. And I just think it's a disrespect to the athlete. I just do it. And that's why I really work hard that last week. That last week, the bigger the show, the longer the paperwork. I mean, I'm talking just, my biggest show took me 20 hours in spreadsheet. Jeez. But that makes sure that on game day, everything just runs
really smoothly.
Yeah, really smoothly, yes. So swapping people around. So also, don't worry if you've got two divisions that you think you're going back to back. The week of the show, I'll look at it and just go, hang on, can I move you there? And what am I doing? Where am I moving things? And getting it so it flows nice, and so very few people have to go back to back.
Yeah, so that you're not then having to stay backstage, and that can be confusing for coaches too, because we can often think that our client is off, and then all of a sudden they're not backstage, and we can't find them, and then they're on stage and we've missed it. But I have found that doesn't happen very often. It only happens if it has to.
Exactly.
So there is a method behind the madness.
Yeah, and look, it only happens if it has to, and the reason why I don't want it to happen, if I can make it that the case, is that it gives you time to get off, you can compose yourself, come back on, bang.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so obviously we know that ICN is more of a family, and obviously it's a worldwide thing, and it's something that's certainly been built really strongly over the last 6 years, but also obviously, as you mentioned, 30-something years in general. So what advice could you give those who are scared to come to posing classes? I get asked this question a lot, should I come now? I'm not ready, or I'm really worried I'm going to get judged. There's just so many, I don't know how to pose. I've got no idea what I'm doing, and I get a lot of first timers. I do. Honestly, most of my teams are first timers.
Yep.
So what could you say? Because this is the man who's going to be there at the posing classes instructing them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can I just go back to our shows, Queensland?
Oh, yes,
is it also everything we put on for you? Like I've got my regular staff who know you. Know the coaches, the trainers, and sometimes the athletes, because they've just been in the process. The prizes, the trophies, the giveaways, just everything we do is for you. Yeah. This is my motto: if it's hard for me and it's easy for you, I've made the right decision.
I have to admit, you haven't slept. Whenever I see you show day, I'm like, how many hours sleep have you had? And you're like, oh, what day is it? It's one.
It's 3 to 5 hours. Yeah, but that's okay. I run on the smell of an oily rag. But it's all for you. Like I said, if it was hard for you and easy for me, it's the wrong decision.
Yeah.
That's the way I run my shows.
Yeah. Okay.
So coming back to posing classes.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can go back 25 odd years when I was putting off going to Latin dance class. And I just didn't want to go. Like, there I'm a single guy, I want to learn Latin dancing, but I just didn't want to go. And eventually I went. And eventually I said to myself, I could have done this 2 years ago. I was just fearful of that first time because I didn't know how to dance. I didn't know. And then you just got to go. And there's not been a single person that's come to a posing class that said, I didn't get anything out of that. I wish I had come earlier. I wish I had come. Just come along. You're with other newbies. No one's judging you. We don't judge you. Absolutely. Just come along. We'll fix you. And also bring your coach. Bring your coach along. We get more coaches now than ever before at posing classes, up to a dozen at any one posing class. And with posing, I always say, get a second or third eye over your posing. And that's what we do. Like, you come along, and we did just last weekend gone, and I'd say, Mariah, what about this, and we compare, and we get it best for you.
Yeah, and we also don't, I think certainly that I'll go in and try and work with my girls and fix them, but then if I do see someone else's client there, and it's not even from I'm not trying to come over the top of anybody,
No.
We want to see everybody get on stage at their best, and posing is obviously a massive part of it, cannot tell you enough or reiterate enough. If you are, you know, and that's probably one of my next questions is, you know, how long do we need to be posing for in the lead up to a show? Don't leave it last minute.
Yep.
You know, it really, I think, I don't know, what do you recommend?
Now, like if you're in season A, you're even posing now.
Yeah.
Like season B, we've had more people in season B coming in season A than any other season A season before.
Yeah.
You know, and I just had a guy on the phone before, and he said, mate, when do I start posing? I said, mate, season B, start now.
Now, yeah. Don't be afraid of being in your off season. Like even coaches who have, you know, gained 20 kilos in their off season, some of the boys, they come in really thick. And they'll come in and they'll, you know, strip down to their undies and off they go. And
got a bit of a gut. Haven't got the six pack, got the one pack.
Yeah.
That's fine. Get it off and just go for it.
We don't blink twice at anybody who comes to posing, no matter what condition you're in, no matter what level of difficulty that you've learned, and no matter whether or not you've got two left feet. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and just on that, like you feel like you've got the two left feet, but I've used girls within the space of 2 to 4 weeks as examples of this is brilliant.
Yeah.
And this is 2 to 4 weeks. And just remember, like it's like don't overthink posing. And that's the biggest thing I say at posing classes. Don't overthink it. If I ask you to bring your left foot into your right, and the girls are sitting there and go,
what's my left and right?
Left into right. What do you mean? Don't overthink it. Yeah, that's the big thing. And just like that Latin dance, is that break it down and just do that. First step, okay. Yep, I can do left into right, left into right. Now I need to step forwards. Okay, let me do that again. And do it 50 times. Yeah. And that's how I got Latin dancing. Actually, funny thing on Latin dancing. The guys, it was a Monday, Wednesday and Friday class. And the guys could get free classes on the Wednesday and Friday at the other venues. So I'd get the Monday, get ready for the new steps. Wednesday, refresh those next steps. And on the Friday, I was already doing really well. And the girls go, wow, you picked this up really easy. So that's all it is. It's just practice. Yeah, absolutely.
Like studying for an exam. It's like if you just give yourself more time, it's actually a better scenario than leaving it until the last minute.
100%.
Okay, so the next question would be, what do you think competition prep teaches you? So I don't know whether you've had this type of question before, but fundamental life lessons beyond the aesthetic appearance. Because when we think comp prep, most people who haven't competed, who are not coaches, probably think it's all about glitter and glam and heels, and you know, that's a component of it. But what do you think it teaches you from a life lesson perspective?
Oh, it teaches you so much. Discipline, how things about your body actually work, what you can do with your body, how your body responds to things, routine, just there's so many things. And you know, the biggest thing that comes with comp prep is changing your life. Because you're so focused, things just happen. Like, you know, new jobs, getting out of toxic relationships, or fixing relationships, just so many crazy things. A number of people move house, right? One year we had a stuff up with a supplier, and I had to send things out to competitors after a show. And I went, okay, I'm not going to use your addresses that you've already given me, you know, I compete, because I'm going to ask you for your address. Now, out of 100 competitors, 20 had changed address within the week of the show.
That's wild.
And that all comes from the focus that you put in the comp prep. Things just change in your life. And generally speaking, 99.9% of the time, for the better.
Yeah. It gives people, I guess, an empowerment that they didn't realize they had previously, that they actually have a lot of choices in their life that then lead them to where they end up. Oh,
just the job changes. The stuff I hear over the last 16 years has just been amazing. And all because of comp prep. If you owe anything to yourself, do a comp prep. Maybe if you don't want to even compete, but do a comp prep and just see what happens, see what attracts in your life. Because comp prep's positive. All right, as long as you haven't got a very bad, let's say a coach has got you on 600 calories, that's not fun, right? But if you've got the right coach that suits you, okay, I know there's a question coming up, but you know, comp prep should be fun. And it should attract positive stuff to your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I can resonate with that. My life, I think, started, weirdly I would say that, it's a big call.
Nice.
But after I competed with ICN, prior to that I treated myself like I was just an option. And then after competing, it was like this light bulb went off in my head, and I just put myself first over and over again.
100%. And the more you work on self, the more everything happens around you.
Correct.
You've got to work on yourself. So if you're sitting back there now just going, you know, you're overweight, you're not going to the gym, you're not fit, just think about it. Work on you. And all of a sudden, once you start working on you, things happen. And you've got to work on you first, because without you being the best vessel, the best version of you, you can't expect everything else to be the best version happening around you. It's very rare.
100%. Love that. Okay, so that was a really deep answer, I think, and it probably offers a little bit more to people beyond just bikinis and six packs because you know that's the icing on the cake.
Yep.
But yeah. So next question: what advice do you have for those who are in prep and worry about being ready on time? What does a realistic prep timeline look? I know this is going to be very general and varying. Look like for everybody, depending, and this obviously differs for each person. So what do you think? I think the answer probably comes around give yourself more time than you think you need.
100% that, yeah. And I've only had that conversation with several for season B already, just literally this week and last week, is that whatever you think you need to be ready, don't dive so that on the show week, you actually hit your goal. No. You want to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that, so you can just coast in show week, And the amount of time to give yourself is, well, for those that have competed before, that's easy. If your stage weight was 55 kilos for a girl, say this guy was 70 kilos, whatever your stage weight was, if you were lean enough or you were in the right shape, depending on the division, is to go, okay, if I was 55 kilos, I'm now 65, realistically, you want to lose half a kilo a week, maybe a kilo at best, and sometimes it's only between 250 and 750, I'd say on average, right? Is to then divide that by the amount of kilos you got, that's your comp prep. That's how many weeks you need. If you're not too sure, ask someone that's your height about your build, what was your stage weight? And they go, that was your stage weight, here I'm in here, boom. And I had a girl a few weeks back give me a call up, and she told me her current weight, gave me her height. I said, roughly speaking, you're going to need to be this. And I said, for season A, nah, it's unrealistic. Not ready. You're going to be at least 5, unless you do something drastic and crazy. You're going to be probably 5 to even maybe 8 kilos off your season B. But start now.
And that's exactly, I think that's really good advice, because I think sometimes we can give people the advice that, no worries, like it's all good, and then hold on, like this could pose a health risk for somebody if we try and strip them down too quickly. And also that there isn't such a thing as working miracles. This is with any coach that you work with. If you've got 20 or 30 kilos to lose and you are in a 20-week prep, good luck. This is going to be a really hard slog, and if anything, you may not make it. You may need to delay to season B, which then people end up in prep for a whole year or so dieting.
But keep in mind, being in prep for that time, think about you're working on you. You're working on you. You're working on being stronger, fitter, faster, healthier. There's actually nothing better than realistically being in what is like a comp prep for the rest of your life. And I also try to say to people, don't make comp the end. The comp is just a point. Then keep moving on from that, because we see now more so than ever this reverse dieting, and you're being really strict with the reverse diet. But that's smart. That's not comp prep. That's smart, because at the end of the day, you've got 2 choices. You've got McDonald's and the fries and the Coke, or you've got a tuna salad. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't need that shit. That's just crap your body just does not need. Simple as that. Your body needs this pre-comp and post-comp. Try and work on you for life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly, I think, when someone starts a prep and then finishes a prep, they have a decision after prep to either continue those lifestyle choices with a little bit of flexibility.
100%.
But some people do crash and burn because they feel like they've got their purpose after comp. And even Alana, she wrote a brilliant book. I still haven't read it. I need to, but I think it's like What Now or something like that, talking about post-comp, blues and things like that. And it is real. People after comp do feel very lost, but I think certainly that my experience was that it just opened up opportunities. I had sponsors at me left, right and centre. My social media blew up, not on purpose, it just happened, and then I became a coach. So I didn't really have time to stop and to think, woe is me. It was just on to the next and the next. I think that's your opportunity, is to realise that it's not the end of the line, and it is somewhere we need to keep going. So the timeline, back to the timeline question, it really does depend on person to person.
100%,
It's not like everybody is textbook 20 to 30 weeks, and you're finding that preps are much longer than they used to be. Maybe years ago it was 12 to 16 weeks, and now it's because it's more competitive. People are giving themselves more time, doing things in a more healthy way.
And again, it just depends how. We've got some guys and girls coming posing classes at the moment. They're like 2 weeks off. It's like, wow.
I did see a few over the weekend and I was like, oh, you're ready. I've got one this season. She's honestly, I think, I'm probably going to have to coast her for a little bit, but if anything, that was really good because, prior to this, there was some issues with discipline. So sometimes we get into our heads and think, do we need to be ready super early? Do we need to be ready, like as you said, a few weeks prior? If you are ready early, it's not a bad thing because then you can kind of just relax for the next, well, not relax, but coast, I suppose, for the next few weeks.
Even have a trial comp day.
Correct, and exactly trial peak and everything like that, because that's another topic too, is that there's so many different ways people can peak. Some people, we had obviously Jess Leafley, where we found out, and she's very open about this, that we had to carb deplete her for her peak to work. We couldn't actually carb her up because carbs were just not her friend. I don't get that a lot with competitors. Usually carbs, they work really well, they look nice and full, and Jess went the opposite way. She would actually look really fluffy and spill over no matter how much extra we gave her. So that's another thing, is that you can practice your peaks in that time. It gives you plenty of time, and usually a coach will do that in your diet breaks and things. Cool. So next question, we're breezing through. Many women ask, and this is my favourite question, I think, out of the whole interview, and certainly one that I ran this past a few of my friends and competitors, and they went, I want to know this answer. So many women, especially women, I don't find men as much because I think they don't care, or they're oblivious. Many women ask whether or not they need to have surgery on their bust to have an advantage for bodybuilding shows. That's the first part of this question. So do we need to have a breast augmentation to do better in a show? And on that note, they worry about loose skin for those who've had babies, which we do have. We know that many of our competitors, in fact, probably made like over 50% maybe, are mums of the female competitors sometimes. Ones that have had babies, or ones that have dropped a whole lot of body fat quickly, stretch marks, loose skin, like all of those kind of skin discrepancies, and maybe not the surgery as well. They think, oh no, I've got no boobs, what do I do? Do they need that? What are the I guess the positives and negatives of having loose skin or not having loose skin, or like, do they get marked on it?
We go to the boobs first.
Let's go boobs.
That's the easy one, because end of the day, we're looking at the body, and we're looking at the body parts.
Bodybuilding.
It's bodybuilding. You can build them by putting them in. But the thing is, we're looking at the delts, we're looking at the arms, we're looking at the back, we're looking at the quad sweeps, we're looking at the calves, we're looking everywhere else but there. It's as simple as that. And you've only got to look at our posters. Go on to some of our posters and look at the girls that have they've got no boobs.
Flat.
Flat. In actual fact, there was one from last season.
Yeah, I've been beaten by flat girls before, because I've had an augmentation myself. I never got them for bodybuilding, just was a confidence thing, but no, it didn't give me extra points in any. There were the women who had nothing who absolutely slaughtered me.
we have a pro from last year, brand new pro. Flat.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Boobs aren't a thing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got them, that's fine.
That's fine.
It's totally fine. They don't mark you down. And then the loose skin factor and babies and stretch marks and all
that can make a small factor, because in the day it is the presentation of the belly.
Sure.
And look, for some females that have had the babies, they've stretched the abdominals. They don't have the six pack. Look, if the girl next to you is identical to you and that's the difference, that will make a difference. But remember, it's only one body part. Okay, we're looking at the rest. And I remember within the last 2 years, it may have even been just even last year, before the 70 seasons, there were some girls actually up here on the Sunshine Coast, loose skin, placing well,
seen that.
And bit bigger down the bottom, but just so well up top that it counted enough to put them into this position. And remember, it's a what, 8, 9, 10 body part competition. It's not
just about your tummy.
It's not just about your tummy. It's like, I haven't got a six pack, I can't do fitness and sports. That's okay. The girl next to you might have the six pack, but she's not as ripped as you around here.
Or doesn't have as much muscle.
Doesn't have as much muscle, So just, winning is putting the best version of you on stage. And I say it on all my podcasts. Winning is putting the best version of you on stage. It's the only thing you can control. Okay? Trophies are nice, swords are nice, but at the end of the day, if you have the mindset of, I've just put the best version of me on stage, you're going to have the best day. If you put the mindset that I've got to win, whoa, the minute you come second, you're a loser. You just lost, because as far as I'm concerned, you wanted to win. With second's not winning. So have that great mindset. And I love watching some guys and girls. Guys do it more so than girls. But not that girls don't do it. When they'll get a second, third, fourth, and they walk up the podium going,
It's crazy, actually. I've seen certain people react in different ways depending on how they go.
Yeah.
And I have seen women who've gotten second, thirds, fourths, even fifths, who didn't expect to place at all, and they've come off stage crying and have gone, oh my God, I got a placing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, you're so grateful. Like, whereas I admit I've had competitors who have gotten a second place and who have come off sour as hell. And to me, that says more about them than it does about the show, because in a way, and look, there's always going to be with placings, there's always all sorts of things. Like even on the day, everyone, it's kind of like going, I would liken it to going to watch a football match, right? And as the coaches go to watch a football match, or the clients are there and everything like that, not the same, but, and it's, oh damn, like I didn't get that one in, or this didn't happen, and they're all having that chit chat. But everything dies down afterwards, and everyone is actually really grateful for having to be able to compete and everything. So placings, as you said, I think my first show, when I first competed, I genuinely, I say this every time I talk about it, had no idea I was going to win classic figure. So for me, I cried when I got my first place on stage when I ever competed. I didn't realize that was just a novice thing. You know, I was like, oh my God, I'm good, you know? So if that was enough to evoke that much emotion, just imagine if you go in with the mindset of, I don't need to win. If I win, it's a bonus. Or if I place, it's a bonus. But just getting up there is
win.
You're 0.1% of the population making it to stage.
Absolutely 0.1. Absolutely, yeah.
Not many people do. All right, so next question, because I love that we go off on these little mini tangents, because
I'm the tangent king.
Well, it's always relevant. It's always relevant because these are topics that need to be covered. So obviously the loose skin factor as well, because I'll add to that a little bit too. I found with a lot of my girls that they're conscious of it. A lot of your bikini designers are actually more than happy, because if it's a C-section scar, they're more than happy to just design it so that it kind of just goes over the top of it and you don't notice it. So I've had a lot of girls who've done quite well because the bikini design kind of flatters their natural shape. It doesn't kind of just like hang over. And even stretch marks, I'm covered in them. My legs are just covered in stretch marks. And I've never been told that was a problem, so yeah.
Well, you won twice.
Yeah. So it's, I think certainly that there's a lot of attention paid to it, but probably needs to be less, because it's, people are more critical of their one sore spot or their weak spot, and I think that, as you mentioned, that's all they're being marked on, and that's not the case. 9, 10,
so many body parts.
So much to mark. Okay, so next question. We go on forever about that one. What advice do you have for the partners or families of those who are in prep? What should they prepare themselves for? Because I know that there's probably some partners, family members, friends listening to this going, shit, my partner's about to prep, or she's in prep, is this normal,
My suggestion for family and partners, take a 12-week holiday somewhere. No.
Just leave.
Just leave.
Temporarily.
No, because the thing is, at the end of the day, if you've got the right coach, you've got the right plan, comp prep should be a breeze. My last show I did 7 or 8 years ago, I was a member of parliament at the time, getting home at like 2 a.m. in the morning or 1 a.m. in the morning. I had my shop, my studio, my supplement store. What else did I have going on? And seriously, you would not have known I was in comp prep. In actual fact, everything was just aligning for me. I got about 4 weeks out from a Sydney show, and I just said, hey, Ron, I might head down. The way I'm going, and each week, Ron, I think I'm coming. And then the week before I've gone, I'm in. And you would not have known I was in comp prep. And not that I technically was in a way, but I just went, if this keeps going, I'm just going to jump on the stage. So family and friends, just anything, just allow to be flexible in regards to that person may not want to go out as often, okay? And not do this and not do that. But it shouldn't be a case that your life stops.
No. And don't take it personally, I think is a big one too, because I've been on both sides where I've had a prep where I had a partner who was not very supportive at all and put me down. I think it probably, it says a bit more about that person than it does about your prep, because every prep requires sacrifices. It's temporary, it's not forever. It only comes around every now and then. And certainly that you learn to spend time with each other that isn't revolved around food and eating out and spending money.
And like, when I was a member of parliament in that phase, is that I still went to all the things I had to go to. And I just didn't grab that. I went, I don't need this.
Didn't make a big deal.
And I don't need to eat this to make that person over there feel happy. Because that ain't going to make me feel happy, and I don't want that shit.
And you regret it because you're like, this wasn't,
and like, nothing worse than if you did do it and go, this is that shit. nothing worse than grab
calorie regrets.
Yeah. And like I can walk away from a sweet steak at the table 24/7. It just wouldn't worry me. And I know some people can't, so I'm blessed that way because I can just leave a tray of sweets. But at the same time, that's not life. Like when you go overseas, especially in UK with all those pastries and whatnot, you know, you don't have to go there and come back 10 kilos heavier.
No.
Just, I tasted all that and now I'm just 10 kilos heavier.
I did a Europe trip, 4 weeks in Europe, and didn't gain a kilo because I was just smart about the choices I made. But I certainly think too with those types of things in prep, and this is probably one of my biggest pieces of advice to my girls, is when you see things like that, I actually don't see it as food. So I actually see it as like an inanimate object.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's just my little trick. But if I see a dessert table, I just see it like it's a candle. Like it's not edible. It's not going to make me feel good. You know, if I put that in my mouth, why would I put that in my mouth? And I look at it as just different flavors of sugar. You know, sugar's not the devil, we know that. But at the same time, if you're tempted by that because of the visuals and things, you've actually got to think about, you know, does this align with me? Does this align with my goals? I love that. I don't need to eat this to make somebody else happy. And that's what prep teaches you as well, is that with boundaries and things, that you don't need to do what everyone else is doing to make other people feel good, and then you feel shitty inside because it wasn't what you actually wanted to do.
That's right. And again, if you're working on self, why do you want to put that into your body?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll go back to the MP days again. In the dining room, the average MP in their first year put on 10 kilos.
Shit.
Right? It's just like what we get given there.
It's a culture, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And the sweets, they just went for it. And they just couldn't help themselves, just tray after tray. So guys, you don't need that shit. You know?
Wow.
And I'd bring out, because back then I was vegan, and I'd bring this massive plate of veggies, and I'd just put it at the table where everyone else was eating crap. And they're just looking at it, just going, wow, look at that. You know, if you actually, there was a study done. If you had some friends for dinner, and you say you had 6 friends, give 3 of them just meat, and the other 3 give them meat and veg. The people with just the meat feel like they've been left out, and you don't like them.
Wow.
The care was in the veg.
Yeah.
The care was in the
colour
veg.
there as well.
Yeah. So, so eat what you need. Don't worry about other people. Don't try to please other people. Yeah. And if you have to, what you do is because what I used to back in the day, I think it was Buttermilk Rum. I'd have to go to some dudes, and again, in one of my prep things, I'd go there, I'd grab something, I'd hold it. If I need to try and make it think I'm actually partaking, I just hold it, and then when no one's watching, put it down. Yeah.
I used to do the Diet Coke trick on Pepsi Max, and I would just get a glass of that if I was at an event. I'm not a very social person anyway, so for me it's really easy doing prep because I've got a reason to not go to things. I love it. I'm just introverted, so I'm like, no. But I would just order a Pepsi Max or a Diet Coke, and people would think I was drinking, like as in alcohol. And they wouldn't know any different. I think certainly if you pay highlight to it, and obviously this ties back around to the partners and friends and family thing, if you pay highlight to someone's prep, and if you really put a magnifying glass on it, it will become, the bindi in your foot. It'll annoy the crap out of you all day long. But if it becomes something like that's just running and humming in the background of your life, you'll actually find it doesn't actually affect as much as you think it does. And if anything, it creates more order and routine for both of you. Yeah. And probably men as well. Alex accidentally prepped through my last prep.
Yeah, right.
He got a 6-pack. Just because we were eating better and he wasn't eating chicken nuggets, Like it was just crazy the differences it makes for people around you.
I use this in my nutrition talks a lot, is that the shirt you've got on, did they take a care factor to get that shirt right? The shirt that you've got on, this table in front of us, this lounge chair, there was a plan put in place, and it was done particularly because it had to look like this. And what we do with our body is that most of the time, you only got to see side of it, 70% obese and overweight, is we just don't care. Yet we care about this, but the most important person in the world is you, and you don't care what you put in. So don't worry about what other people think. Care about you. Care about. Otherwise, go grab the ripped jeans. Well, they are ripped jeans, right? But not the purpose of jeans. Grab the ripped top that wasn't meant to be ripped. Grab the chair
poorly made.
Poorly made with 3 legs. That's meant to have 4. Just take more care of you.
Certainly I think in society it's a very backwards view these days, and most people in prep would understand this too, is that if you're in prep, people tend to treat you a bit like an alien, that you're not drinking, that you're not eating shit, that you're not treating yourself like crap. and that, you know, weirdly they have the strange diseases that, you know, chronic illnesses that just pop up out of nowhere. So remember that you may be part of a minority, you know, if you choose to do this for yourself, but why do you need to be a part of the majority if that's then not going to lead to a healthier life? And you're going to outlive us all at this stage, Jason, from the sounds of your diet. This man.
I'm not perfect, but just from a very early age, through my teens, I never drank soft drink.
Sure.
I never had chocolate. I don't know why. I just didn't. And I've done sport my whole entire life.
Nice.
You know, I've very rarely been too far overweight. Just always kept within. I know it's just me. You know, I'm off to the gym after this, and on a week off. You know, like I'm going to smash out a session. Can't wait.
It's a lifestyle. All right, so let's move on to the next question. What kind of mindset do you think it takes to become a champion, specifically a champion, an overall state or national title, or even pro card winner? What do you think has to go on up here? And
well, see, that's very individualized. I mean, like you've got some people that just mindset wise, that's just bang. It's just too easy. It's who they are. Others, it's like a driving force. It's just like you can just see them. They're just like this. You know, it's horses for courses. It's a bit different. Like I've got a guy at the moment coming into a prep, and it's his second show in 2 years, and I know his coach well, and he's telling me about how it just focuses.
Tunnel vision,
but it's a good tunnel vision. But at the same time, like he eats exactly what he's told. There's not a microgram out, but he still lives his life. So he's got the right mindset for that, but he's still just, when you talk to him, he's chilled.
It's just his usual self.
So, and again, he's not putting the pressure on himself. He's not pro worthy at the moment. He's going to get there one day. His process probably be 2 to 5 years, something like that. But certainly the difference in just his first 2 shows, and he's not putting pressure on himself. He's putting just the work in. That's what he's doing, just put the work in. Just
on that note too, you mentioned that 2 to 5 years to go to pro status, right? This is really important to get out there to the listeners and viewers, because I think that you know, when you think about a state or national winner, yes, there are people who go in their first show and win a state title. Yes, there are people who go in for a second or third. My second season, I went to nationals and won novice, first place in novice, and I honestly didn't really put my all into that prep. I admittedly was a 10-week prep, and I got a first place. I was like, oh, sweet. You know, there are going to be some people who do strange things, but it is strange because it's not. You don't get, you know, all of your overall winners for a season. It's not like they just go into a show and win and then, you know, that's it. They may have trained for 6 or 7 weeks prior. They may have already instilled that mentality. We see a lot of people who say, I want to do a comp prep. They've never stepped foot into a gym. And then within the year, all of a sudden they're wanting to win the overall title. And it's just that very advantageous, you know, outlook of, well, hold on. You may need to put 2 to 5 to 6 to 10 years in until your dream can come to fruition. It may not even come to fruition as well, depending on how hard you work. So,
And at the end of the day, like say for me, my last show, I was in lineup at 9. I wasn't top 5. I got little tiny arms. I'm not very strong, but genetics. I mean, that's the key as well. So if I go back on stage again, I'm doing it for me. Not for anybody else, and I don't care about my placing. I just simply don't care. I care about, could I improve or at least match on my last performance. I mean, like now in my 50s, if I could match my 40s, I'd be happy with that.
That's awesome.
And that's my mindset. So I'm always going to go into a comp prep easy as mindset wise, get on the stage and get off the stage no matter where I get. I don't care. I'll just go, great. You know, I had the best time that last time in Sydney competing. You know, and not even close to top 5. I don't care.
Had fun.
And I was my leanest, my best shape ever. But didn't matter. So have that mindset. That mindset's just so important.
Self-improvement, not necessarily comparing yourself to who's there on the day and whatever all the time.
And just on some of those journeys, I've been able to watch journeys over the 16 years. And I think one of my favourites is Shelley Vanderveld. I mean, that took 7 years for her program.
Actually, I did notice that. I thought I've seen her face over and over again.
I remember giving her some feedback from her Townsville show back in 2015, and just each show just got better and better and better.
She's really persistent. I certainly think the things that come to mind, if I was to think about any of the pro card winners I've seen, or even the state and national champions, humble is the first one, because I've noticed that I don't often see a pro card winner that is kind of just running around shoving it in everyone's face. Like I think once you go pro, you realize, okay, you know, I've worked for this. You might not. There might be the odd anomaly that is a bit, you know, too proud. I guess I don't know whether that's a thing. but certainly resilient, and you know, they don't. Through prep, things are hard, they're difficult, sure, but they're not whinging every 5 seconds about it. They chose to prep. It's a privilege to prep. This is what I say to people all the time. It is a privilege to put yourself through something like this. And so if you want to have a winner's mentality, or a pro card mentality, or not that you'll get one, or you know, that you're guaranteed, but don't think you're any worse off than anybody else, you know, because you're not. Everyone has it hard. And certainly that everything that knocks you down, when you get sick in the middle of prep, when you sprain your ankle, shit happens. It's a long time, it's only 6 months. You can't expect life to pause while you're in prep. It doesn't happen like that. So resilience, commitment, persistence, and certainly, being humble is a really big part of it, because you can go in thinking you're a pro and I've seen it time and time again, even coaches that have ramped up their clients to be pro-worthy, and then place 4th or 5th, and there's a lot of question marks. So, because they've already told them. Yeah, there's nothing worse than that. I have seen that where they go, we've got to make you win. Oh. Or they say, you're a winner. And look, actually, I'll use Alana Kumar as an example. I was doing a podcast with her the other day, and we were talking about, pro card worthy or whatnot. And I said, Alana, I'm looking at you, you are. I mean, you just missed. And I mean, like, the package you brought is just pro worthy. Just unfortunately on that day, there was you just got oh man, seriously, so pro worthy she is, absolutely. But unfortunately, that's the way it rolls. Yeah, we had the conversation as well, I think, one posing class, and I was like, man, I placed twice to second to a pro card twice. The first time I was like, it was to Anuska, and she was insane. I was like, man, no, you deserve that. Like, and then the second time I looked back on it, and I'm like, it was a freaking hairline, and it was just this minor, it's like neck to neck, you know what I mean? And I look back on it now, and I remember talking to you about it, and you're like, right, you're pro worthy in our federation. Well, you just are. But I'm a persistent person, and with that mindset, I'll come back again. I just because that's what that mentality is. You may see the person go pro or win a state or national title, but you may not have seen their previous shows, that the work they put in, because that's all you see is that when they've made it big or whatever, but they've put lots of work into it before that. So there's all those qualities. Love that. I love that you said that to Alana, because she's been through a lot. Like I said, I was just, it was in Melbourne. I still remember it, just going, oh, come on, she's got this. This is so close. Come on. And just totally pro-worthy. Absolutely. And just on that though, so does it make her not pro-worthy? And say, like, if you always get a second to a pro? No, not at all. It's just the way it goes. But just like, if we gave extras out, and then we just gave an extra out. No. You'd be the one. You are worthy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you could do both of you get one, that'd be a great thing. But that's the whole idea of a competition, is that if the person is even like this, that's it. You know, you can, and that's why I consider it to be like a race, really, because you've got to pace yourself across a prep. But you can fuck it up in the last few weeks. I tried to be ready for nationals, which was, we ended up having to bin because of COVID. And that was my mistake. I wasn't ready early enough to be ready for states. I thought, states, I'll just qualify for nationals. Then we had to turn our state show into a national show, and it didn't click to me. I was like, I should have been ready earlier. So we learn a lot of really valuable lessons in prep too, and it is humbling. It teaches you to never think that you have anything guaranteed, no matter how much you want it, and that's okay. Like, it's actually okay. I love that. I love that topic, because champion mentality, I think, is certainly something that's prevalent across different sports. Is that, you know, what does it take to become a champion and be a champion? And can I just say, someone in this sport who I think is not so much pro as in the best, but pro-worthy because of what he does within the industry and how he's competed over shit. He was in my first show in 2007. Leon Stento. Like, I just see him as a pro. They're pro in life. You know, and people assume they are too. Like, just what that man has done for so many people, and himself, and the mindset he has. It's just like, he's just pro. In my head, he's just a pro. He's a beautiful man, you know, but just the way he's gone about his career. But that's his first show, as far as I know, was 2007. So he's just been in the sport, helping other people out. The man is so dedicated. And you got to remember, it's not all about you, is it? Like, it can be a selfish sport, but certainly that the people you meet along the way makes your journey more enjoyable. Because if I could give a pro card out to someone who may never get one, I'd give it to Leon. Yeah.
Just simply amazing.
Yeah.
Just an amazing human.
A good man.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's the morale pro card winner, if there was one. So next question, because that's another one we could go on about forever too. Do you believe that some people's, I love this one because I have a strong stance on this. Do you believe that some people's natural shapes simply do not or do have the right build genetically to win shows? So basically, do you think some people, no matter how hard they try, may not ever win a show because of their natural shape?
Hands up right here. You look at one. I can throw 50 kilo dumbbells around on bench press.
I love that you say that.
Yeah.
I really am.
But do they look like that again? No. Shits me to tears. But it's not going to stop me, one, from potentially competing them. Yeah. But secondly, it will stop me from winning. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Okay, but I don't, again, if you're that person going, oh, I just haven't got this, that, get into comp prep, get up on stage. Do it and just improve you. You'll learn so much about you. Yeah. But genetics, unfortunately, I always say, genetics can be a bitch. Yeah. But and again, it's not the biggest arms, biggest chest, biggest back. So maybe I can get up there one year because I've got a decent chest and back, and maybe the guy next to me, all he's got is a set of arms and no chest. Hey, but
like the draw?
Yeah, like the draw. But I always say that when God was handing out arms, I think he said farms. I asked for 2 small ones.
I really like it because I never really knew that about you. I think I probably just assumed that maybe you competed and done really well. I didn't know that your history with it was that, that you didn't go skyrocket to the top or anything, but now see what you do now is just literally helping other people. Yeah. So and like I tend to agree there. I think that it's heartbreaking, especially I think for women, because I obviously coach women, when they find out that their waist is too blocky for fitness, or they find out that, and it's their rib cage, like you can't manipulate a rib cage unless you get surgery, or, they just don't have that X factor because they don't have the V taper, they don't, or, maybe they've been trying to grow their shoulders for 6 years and like they're lucky to get a little pop out the side. And, I often get people say to me, Mariah, I want delts like yours and I want glutes like yours, and why don't I have a tiny waist like yours? My genetics have always been like this. Even when I was unfit, I was an X shape. I've always been an X shape. I actually had the right proportions. The first time I met you, you said that to me. And so when you hear that from somebody, they're not favoring you, they're just saying, you genetically have the right shape. Basketballers, right? Your most successful basketballers are gonna be 7 foot, like, they're not 5 foot, and the ones that aren't 7 foot become coaches. Yeah.
Well, the 5'5" guy can't become 7 foot.
No, it's just not going to happen. And you're not going to make your rib cage smaller than what it is. Also, as well, some people genetically don't have abs. They can't get them, and it might be because their body simply doesn't grow them. They don't get that protrusion.
I only get 4.
Yeah, you get 4.
Yeah.
I get these weird 2 long ones down the bottom and then like 4 right at the top, and I think what happened was spreading those out, but yeah.
We'll look at Dexter Jackson. 8.
Yeah.
Like, just insane.
Oh yeah.
Insane.
You see people, they got, but why'd you get extra abs? I saw a guy once, he had 10, and I was like, how did you get, can you share some of your abs, please? It was ridiculous. He was just all abs, it was like, whoa, it was like, you look like an alien. But I think genetics certainly have a massive, and that's the thing, like, you've got to understand that bodybuilding, that's the component of it in like any sport, that there's going to be parts you cannot control, and that you're just going to have to use the best of your genetics to your advantage and figure out what your genetics are.
Again, best version of you on stage is all that matters, and it's not the biggest arms, the biggest this, the biggest that, the smallest this. It's a combination of everything.
Love it. So next question, what are your thoughts on the dangers? I love this question because I think nobody asks this question in Natty Feds. It's like, we're natural, we all talk about that we're natural, we all know it, and we all stand by it, but what's your opinion on the use of PEDs and side effects they can cause? I know you could go on forever about this, for athletes, both male and female, because it's not just women. What do you think about it?
Okay, so let me touch on Natty Federation versus and what we do.
Because some people don't know the difference.
Okay, so obviously in Natty Federation, you literally can only use supplements, right? And no PEDs and no
and supplements,
steroids.
Sometimes using people call them supplements, so that's where it can get a bit funny. But protein powder and pre-workout, and that's it. That's
pretty much it. Look, just in regards to what we do, we probably tested over 200 athletes last year. At the Australian titles, Wayne McDonald, our CEO, our Grand Master, did not stop for 2 days. just one person after another, after another, after another, after another. Now look, do people use in our sport and not get tested? Yeah, that happens because testing costs a freaking fortune.
Yeah.
The day they bring the price of that down, you all get tested.
Sure.
Simple as that. But do people use drugs in other sports? Yes.
Yeah.
The Olympics, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong, okay? So we, all of us natural federations, be it a bodybuilding federation or a cycling federation, we're all testing, trying to catch you cheats, okay? But unfortunately, people want to cheat. But I think the majority of our athletes are honest and don't.
Yeah.
You know, as simple as that. But are there some that do? Yep. Do they get through the cracks? Sometimes they do, but we do our best. Like we said, last year we probably spent more money than ever on drug tests.
I think too as well, like a lot of people can, and I understand this when we find out that someone has been using in a federation, maybe they've won or they've done pretty well or whatever, and I've had people tell me that they were, or tell people we know that, but you guys don't know that. Like it's not like, you know, like on the show day and we find out, it's not like you know, or so-and-so knows, and usually if it's someone who hasn't placed, it's like, well, like you did a great job, mate. Like good on you. You cheated and you still didn't do very well.
I've had that happen.
Right? You just think, oh man, like why did you? But I think so obviously touching on that, you're right. It does cost a lot of money to test athletes. I actually agree with testing at Australian titles and nationals because if you think about it, if they've gone to the effort to go to a national show and you're trying to, they're all competing for pro status. That's where you should be testing. Yep. Why would you waste your time testing at state shows? Because, okay, cool.
No, we do.
Oh, you do as well? Okay,
absolutely.
The random ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, as in if it's expensive and it goes up or whatever. But, you wouldn't test a 5th place, person on stage because it doesn't make any sense. The reason why you test is because, hold on, if they won with competitive advantage, we want to find out.
That changes the order.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
But in regards to using, I mean, like, you've only got to watch all the big bodybuilders in the States dropping like flies.
It happens to their health, yeah.
And even ones here in Australia dropping like flies at the moment.
Just dying everywhere.
It's just dying. And also you're killing your testosterone from a male point of view. And I've got a mate of mine who back in the day that they used so much that he was only still in his 30s and he was having to have a meal a week just to get out of bed.
It's wild.
It's what it can do to your body. It's just not worth it. And
men get 97% of their energy production from their testes, from their testosterone, and we don't realise this, but adrenaline for men is heavily reliant on your testosterone. For women, it's sleep. So if you fuck that, that's it. Like
you're on HRT for life.
Correct, and even that can kind of be a bit.
Because you're putting something that's not natural.
Yeah.
That wasn't meant for your body in your body on a weekly basis because you screwed your body up.
Yeah, I have to admit too, I think that certainly that, we look at things like Olympia and everything, and what really frustrates me is, yes, they look, especially to people who have not gone into the comp world and understood it, they look like Greek gods. We know that, classic C-bum, incredible physique, blah, blah, blah. But like you don't hear the stories about the heart failures and the deaths and the amount of female deaths there have been in women's bodybuilding in Olympia, there's at least a couple every season in America that we know of on those higher levels.
Yep.
And you don't hear about it because why would they want to talk about that, around the time of a show? But yeah, people have long-term illnesses, heart conditions, anxiety. They end up with thyroid problems. I've seen women who've come to me and they say, I can't lose body fat because their T3 production is just shot, So I'm just as passionate about the female side of things.
Yeah.
And I think that certainly that, why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? Why not see what you can do naturally? Yes, it's going to take longer. Probably twice as long.
Well, for growth, yes.
Yeah, for growth,
but for shred, shred's just your diet. It's just it's calories in, calories out, and getting the right mix. So there's no reason why you should need a cutting agent if you've got things right. And think about this also. I was chatting to you about this before. Is comp prep is only as hard as you make it. Think about the time you lost 10 kilos. Okay, did you whinge, bitch, and complain about it? No, that's why you dropped some weight. Yeah. And I didn't even know. A work colleague going, hey, you dropped some weight. Never heard the work colleague whinge, bitch, and carry on. But all of a sudden, some people do get the comp prep and think, I've got to change my mindset. And a mate I took to his very first show back in 2004 from memory, he's sitting there at the show, he's down there, just, you just see he's all worked up because he was told that on comp day, it's the worst day of your life because you're going to be so dehydrated, you're going to feel like shit, you're going to feel this. Anyway, the very next day, because I'm looking just on the day, just going, mate, come on, mate, just what the frick's going on? And then the next day he comes to me and goes, do you know what? I think I talked myself into what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
He talked himself into it, that he was going to feel shit because someone just kept telling him, you're going to feel shit, you're going to feel shit, you're going to feel shit. And he made himself feel shit.
Yeah.
Next day he's like, I wasn't feeling shit. I was feeling okay. I could convince myself I was shit. I was feeling terrible.
A lot of it's a head game. I think people get into prep, and that's partially why having a coach is so important, because you've got that person who's a second set of eyes, and you can go, I don't know whether I look lean enough. The question, the constant question I get is there anything else I can do? You know, is there anything else I can do?
Generally not.
No, like, you know, and also one of the hardest things we have as coaches is when we have a first-time competitor, we don't know how your body is going to respond to a prep. So when you come to us as a first-time competitor, it is just as much of a gamble for us as it is for you. Obviously, following the plan is what is required. Some people's, you know, metabolisms at 4 to 6 weeks just decide, nah, that's it, don't want to do anything, they need a diet break. Some people can go all the way through to 12 and all of a sudden then they hit a plateau. But yeah, certainly on that note is that the whole, is there anything I need to use extra, you know, using PEDs, it's a rabbit hole. I'll just say that.
Oh.
It's a rabbit hole. I've seen some people get swallowed up by it and certainly spat out the other end. And personally, in my opinion, it's not worth it. And anyone, it's funny, anyone I know who currently uses or continues to use actually says to other people, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And is that not enough? You know? So.
And so I got a mate of mine at my gym. He started a course.
Yeah.
I went, okay, mate, I said, just, you know. Anyway, so I'm just doing one. He's up to his third.
Oh, yeah, it's addictive. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in his late 40s. And if you're doing it then with your testosterone levels, you're playing with the devil.
Russian roulette.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen. And like I said, hopefully he's going to stop at the third one. I'm trying to convince him to, but it's his body, his choice. But yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It is crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty strong with PEDs, and certainly if I've had any athletes that have wanted to compete in natural federations, and I've just said to them, look, if I find out that you're doing anything remotely left of center, I'm binning you. That's it. You go in the bin. I wouldn't want to stand by something like that, just from a moral perspective. I've always been like this since I was a kid. I couldn't steal, I couldn't cheat, I couldn't lie, and I think that we can't stop other people from doing it because that's bad people exist.
Oh, you know, everyone's got choices.
Correct. Yeah,
but
not bad people. Yeah, bad choices.
But see, for me, when I go to lift those 50s again, like I did like back in my early 40s, got back to them now after a few injuries.
Yeah.
Is when I lift them, I'm like, hang on, I'm doing that from. I got that.
It's all me.
It's all me, and what I put in my body, which was good choices.
Yeah.
And I look at those 50s and go, yeah, I did that.
You'd feel a little bit like almost. I don't know how to describe it, but if you do something that's not natural. And that's synthetic, I think you feel a little bit like you cheated yourself almost. Yeah, that's how I feel anyway. I'm stubborn. I'm so stubborn. I feel like, well, I did, before I competed, I did 7 years of natural bodybuilding. And I was like really quite strict in the beginning with food where, you know, I would never eat McDonald's. I didn't eat McDonald's for 7 years.
I haven't been through a McDonald's drive-through in 12 years.
Yeah, like it's, you know, and I think I had my first Big Mac maybe a year and a half ago, in a long time. And I haven't eaten it since then, you know. So I think it's certainly it's an all-round mindset of, you know, it's all or nothing, especially like addictive stuff. Don't touch it. Just don't touch it. Honestly, my honest opinion is don't touch it. It's not worth it. So next question. What are your thoughts on those who say comp prep can be toxic and unhealthy? You know, the age-old like. It encourages eating disorders and all of this, because I'm going to be honest, both my parents say this, and so I'm the black sheep of the family. Personally, I found my life, my self-respect, my self-worth, my balance, my boundaries with others. I actually recovered from an eating disorder after competing. Like I now have this amazing balance. My boundaries that I set with others, goal setting, it all improved post-shows, which I'm sure that other people can vouch for. So those who haven't competed, or maybe haven't done it the right way, or maybe they didn't deal with their own mental health issues, you know, prior, during, after, and then blamed prep, or even people who watch others compete and then just decide that because they can't do it, they want to say that it's unhealthy. Tell me what your thoughts are on that.